45 minutes.
Altogether about 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, yeah, I think you guys will get through these questions pretty quickly. No more than an hour for sure.
Sure.
Does that work for y'all? Do I need to,
Oh, great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have him locked down until we're done.
Nice. Great.
Okay, Megan, you're good to get started.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Belfield, and I'm an AmeriCorps Vista for Be Mighty Little Rock. And tonight kicks off our first event in the Be Mighty Little Rock Goes Green series. This is the first of a series programs Be Mighty is hosting to celebrate Earth Month. We'll be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Zoom, Facebook Live, and YouTube. We hope you'll be able to join us then. Be Mighty is an anti-hunger campaign that offers free after-school, weekend, and summer meals for Little Rock youth 18 years old and younger. And we're also a part of the Central Arkansas Library System. I will be moderating tonight's conversation with the Root Café's front of house manager, Kim Forte, and owner, Jack Sundell. Hello. The Root Café's mission is to build community through local food. They seek to foster a sense of connectedness among the individuals, families, and organizations and businesses of Central Arkansas by offering a focal point of sustainable activities in the area. Kimberly Fourier is the front of house manager at the Root. This October marks her 4th year at the Root Café. She says she lives down the street from the restaurant, which makes it feel more like a second home to her. When she is in her actual home, she enjoys baking and caring for her 50 houseplants. Jack Sundell owns and operates the Root Café and Mockingbird Bar and Tacos with his wife, Corey Bristow Sundell. Both restaurants are located in Soma neighborhood of downtown Little Rock. He grew up in Monticello, graduated from Hendrix College in 2000, and served in the Peace Corps in Morocco. He eventually settled down in Little Rock to pursue his passion for local food, sustainability, and building community. Jack has a 23-year-old stepson and 7-year-old twin boys. His favorite hobbies are singing, playing guitar, cooking, and playing chess. Thank you guys for being here tonight.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Also, shameless plug, I graduated from Hendrix last year. So nice.
Oh my gosh.
Hendrix. So yes, thank you guys for being here. I want to start the conversation off with, and this can be either one of you, maybe Jack specifically. How did you come up with the idea of the Root Café?
Well, it was a few different things, partly being in Morocco in the Peace Corps, there was a really vibrant cafe culture there. And unfortunately, it's very male dominated, but as a male volunteer, that's where I spent most of my time, outside of work. A lot of the memorable things that happened in the Peace Corps were in cafes, whether it was, meeting up with friends, playing cards, talking about politics or what was going on, upcoming events in town. So, during that period, I really enjoyed spending time in cafes. And when I got back to the United States, I found myself wondering, like, what is the sort of equivalent of that, sort of cafe, that cafe atmosphere in the United States. But then the local food side of it, that came both from a love of organic foods that developed over time. When I lived in Michigan, for example, I had this great little food co-op that I shopped at and experienced a lot of organic foods for the first time. But also in Morocco, I was living in a small town in the Atlas Mountains. And it was a place where I kind of got acquainted with this idea of food sovereignty, which is like how people are able to control their food sources and system. And it was a place where if a family had like a flock of chickens or a cow in their yard, it could lead to eating considerably better than the family down the street. So I really got interested in this idea of local foods. And when I got back to the United States, I worked out at the Heifer Ranch in Perryville as a livestock volunteer. And living and working on an organic farm, I really got to kind of be part of this local food system. we lived in these volunteer houses and cooked these great potluck dinners, and it was just a really great sort of introduction to local foods in Arkansas. And then I started during that time coming into Little Rock and kind of fell in love with the city. And so this idea kind of formulated of bringing these great local foods, which tend to be grown outside of the city, into an urban environment where people are here. Obviously a lot more people in Little Rock and people who want local foods, but have a harder time finding them.
Wow, that's so awesome. So then, Kim, what drew you to the Root Cafe?
Well, so I got my degree in social work from UALR.
Okay, nice.
From UALR. Yep. And I work with so many Hendrix graduates. And I also love to eat. And I already was living down the street and frequented the Root all the time. And it was my favorite restaurant. And I was like, hang on. So if they build community through local food, I can absolutely find my passion there through, baking, through cooking, through serving people wonderful food, and through being more connected with my own community that I live in. So I was like, kind of seems like the absolute perfect thing. And the Root was just one of those places where it was like, I came here and I just forgot about stuff, and that is just the coolest thing, to go to a restaurant and that's the feeling you get, so then I applied here and it has just stayed true and gotten even more so that way, that when I come here I just feel like I can do anything, and so that's what drew me there, and that's what's keeping me here.
That's so awesome. So could you guys explain how your partnerships with the farmers work, and where are most of them located?
Sure. So, I mean, we work with, on a regular basis, 20 to 25 different farmers and producers to source our menu. And then throughout the entire year, more like 40 or 50 different vendors, different local vendors, and that's everything from, fruits, vegetables, most of our nuts, most of our cheeses. 100% of the meat that we serve is from local farms. That's something that if we can't get it locally, we just don't serve it. All of the bread that we serve is baked at local bakeries. Things like the coffee, while that's not grown locally, we work with local coffee roasters, or we only serve beer that's brewed in Arkansas. So for us, we define local as from within the state of Arkansas. That's a choice that we make just because Little Rock happens to be in the geographic center of the state. If we were in Fayetteville, for example, it would make more sense to probably come up with a different radius, that was based on miles. But but for us being in Little Rock, that definition has worked, and we've stayed true to that. Overall, about 77% of the food that we serve, of our food cost as a restaurant, is locally sourced, and that ranks us in the top half of 1% for farm to table restaurants nationwide.
That's so awesome.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, like that's really amazing. So what have you learned about this sustainability aspect of sourcing food from local farmers? Like, how challenging is that? Arkansas is, we have a lot of farmers here, so I guess that's really helpful, but I can imagine it can be difficult sometimes.
I mean, it is. It's it obviously takes a lot more work. I mean, most restaurants when they get started, they come up with a menu first, and then they look for the cheapest or most convenient places to source the things they need for that menu. We knew that we wanted to serve as much as we possibly could of locally sourced food. So we shifted that, and first we looked around at the products that would be available to us from local farmers and local producers. And then we built a menu based on what those things were that would be available year round. And, so what that's meant is that we're able to, to source more, much, much higher percentage of food than we otherwise would from local farmers. But it also means that, like I mentioned, we're buying from 20 or 30 different vendors throughout the week, which is obviously a lot more work than just calling one place and saying, hey, I need everything from paper plates to chicken to beer to, all these different things. And so it's just for us, it's a time investment that's worth it because we're a restaurant that has a mission, and if we can get it locally, that's what we're going to do. And then for the sustainability aspect, a lot of people do conflate the ideas of local sourcing, organic, and even sort of health food to some degree. And I do always like to clarify that they're not the same thing. For us, the mission is local food. When possible, we always look for farmers that are growing organically or are certified organic. But for example, there are a lot of farmers that are using organic practices that haven't, made the time investment or the financial investment to get certified. So, for us, we have enough of a, transparent relationship with those farmers that we know what their practices are, and we can stand behind them and feel good about serving their food. And then I think when, there are times when there are conventional farmers, quality is a huge issue for us too. And for example, with strawberries, that's a product that because of the really warm and humid climate in Arkansas, it's really, really difficult to grow organic strawberries in Arkansas. There have been a few farmers that have done it over the years, and they're trying to do something good, but for the most part, the results have not been that delicious. So when it comes to strawberries, for example, that's a crop where we choose to go with a conventional farmer, who uses their, the best practices that they can, but that they grow, a strawberry that people will drive 30 miles to get because it's so delicious. So
not kidding.
There are some, I think, judgment calls that we make, around that. And then, there are other things when you deal with local food and sustainability, that I think are, just like the fewer miles that our food travels, that's I think a consideration when you think about fossil fuels and climate change. And then, in general, it's there's this concept that's known as regenerative agriculture that, I've been hearing more about, honestly, just in the last year. But the idea that instead of, these big fields where one thing is grown and they till the soil, they use fungicides, herbicides, pesticides to kill everything. And then they try and put those nutrients back into the soil to grow that one crop that they're growing. They think of the soil as a living organism. So it doesn't need to be destroyed before it's, then made right. And, this is called no-till agriculture or regenerative agriculture. And, I think there's, even from the concept of climate change, there is a lot of attention now going towards this because people are finding that this kind of healthy soil that has all of these, natural organisms living in it that are actually beneficial to plants can actually hold an incredible amount of carbon dioxide. And so it's actually a way of combating climate change and not just stopping the production of current CO2, but actually the phrase biosequestration, which I don't know if you've heard, but it's actually like dealing with the legacy load of carbon in the atmosphere that we've already produced. And so it's it's funny when, I think humans often think that they're smarter than nature and, try and come up with ways to, to fix things that aren't broken. And agriculture is a great example of, a system where after World War II, I think there was this huge, industrial complex that was designed around, creating chemicals for warfare. And, once the war was over, a lot of those got funneled into the industrial agriculture and became pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. that they needed to sell. And so, all of that over the last 50 years has contributed to a system of really, really big monocultures and, animal feedlots that has kind of turned farming into this, industrial factory system.
No, I'm so glad you brought.
Can you
that
imagine that
up.
all of that just lives up there? Everything that
I
you
know
just said that just lives.
it's amazing that you know. You should know, and
Right.
it really shows how invested you are
Yes.
into farm to table and also sustainability, which is so amazing. This question you might not know the answer to. I'm just throwing it out there, but do you know how many farmers? And this could be like, this is like a really random, but how many farmers do you think practice the method of, not this factory style farming method, but instead preserving the soil as it is? Is this a trend you've noticed that maybe more Arkansas farmers are picking up, or is it still in like the fairly early stages?
Well, I think it's probably earlier. The tradition of agriculture in Arkansas is mostly one small farms. So in general, when we talk about local food, we're talking about smaller farms. Obviously, like Tyson is a local, chicken farm, or chicken producer, but we're not thinking about that when we think about local foods and local chicken. We're envisioning those small farms, and we work with small farms that are typically diversified, so they're growing lots of different things. So for a meat production, for example, they might have cows, pigs, and chickens on the same land, and they're doing rotational grazing that is actually benefiting the soil and the land that they're on. It's actually enriching the land rather than depleting it.
Wow.
We have one farmer we work with. The farm name is Falling Sky Farm, but they're part of the Grassroots Farm Cooperative. And Cody refers to himself as a grass farmer. And they're actually meat producers, but what he's doing is growing grass for his cows to eat, and then it's this great system where the cows come through and they graze, they poop, then they bring the chickens in after the cows were there, and the chickens are in these things called chicken tractors. They're like these 10 by 10 houses that they drag along with tractors, but they leave them in one place for a day. The chickens peck up the cow patties, because there'll be insects and things like that. The chickens actually eat grass, eat insects, and then the next day they drag it to the next part of the field. They're fertilizing the soil because they're eating and pooping, and then every once in a while they have the pigs come through, and the pigs kind of, move the ground around, disturb it in just the right way, and all of this, animal fertilization is naturally enriching the soil so that the grass improves. And then, they bring the cows back. And when they do this, they try to, have the cows graze a much smaller field, a much smaller area for a limited amount of time. And then they move them over to, so it's called rotational grazing. I think a lot of farmers are practicing this now as they learn about it. And I know that, agriculture extension is trying to teach this as a practical method, and that you actually, you make more money as a farmer because you're not buying hay, you're not buying all these extra inputs, you're
just using what you have.
Just using what you have. You've got land grows grass, cows eat grass, so it's very natural, but it's just not the system that most people grew up or learned from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's so awesome to learn about the new methods that are starting to become slightly more mainstream.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the impact of locally sourced food on the economy? So how has the Root Café seen the benefits of sourcing from Little Rock?
Well, so we've been open for 10 years this June. It'll be our 10-year anniversary. And since the Root opened, we've spent over $3 million with local farmers and producers, so that's a very tangible way that you can, imagine the impact of, people buy a hamburger at the Root and, they're supporting us, but in turn, we're supporting the meat farmer. We're supporting the bakery right down the street that baked the bun. We're supporting the guy who grows the spring mix. We're supporting the egg farmer who we buy eggs from to make mayonnaise to put on the burger. So, so it's really an interconnected system. And I think it's it's really important for people to understand this economic component of local food, because local and local anything, but I think food is often that sort of gateway item that attracts people to the idea of local as a lifestyle. But when you spend $1 locally, it has about 3 times the economic impact of $1 that you spend at a chain or a large corporation that isn't located in your state. And so, when people spend money at local businesses, more of those dollars stay here in Arkansas or here in Little Rock. And then, we'll turn around and spend it in Arkansas. And then if we spend it at a local hardware store, they'll turn around and spend it somewhere in Arkansas. And so, those dollars go through our economic system again and again. Every time they do, they benefit the local tax base, which is good for libraries and, fire departments and schools and all of the important things that build a strong community. So, I think it's obviously like with the Food Network and things like that, people are attracted to local food because of, they think it's more delicious or trendier or whatever. But that idea of how it affects the local economy is often overlooked, but hugely important.
Do you think this business model is really easy to duplicate across the state of Arkansas? I mean, Arkansas is a small business, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You finish what you were saying.
So Arkansas is a small business state, and what you guys are doing is obviously working. So I'm wondering, how easy do you think it would be to expand this model for other people in Arkansas to use, or do you think it's already being done?
I do not think it's already being done just the way that we're doing it. Bill's a good example. There are a few places that have a different focus, and have some really cool options that are not just chains. But when it comes down to like the details about how we are doing it and how careful and how thoughtful and how intentional all of our choices are, I do not believe that anyone's doing it quite the way that we are. And because of that, and because we take the time and we put in the effort to be so conscious, I do think that it's absolutely a challenge. But as someone who is invested in this organization, and as someone who wants to see us grow and other people be able to duplicate this, we are constantly talking about how we can make our systems more of a blueprint and more of a skeleton that, you can fit in your preferences and the way you want, you to run your restaurant. But I definitely, and I think we share this goal, we definitely want to, make our goals and our mission teachable. Of course, we want it to be our own, but we definitely want people to know how to do this, in their own town or, in states across the United States. Like we, obviously that, encourages competition and things like that, but it also just encourages like, use what you have, like, let's all get more local, because as we are pointing out, there are just so many benefits that are not just the trendy benefits, and so because of that, I think that people are interested in the trendiness of it. People are interested in the benefits that it would come from a PR standpoint and things like that. But when it comes to the actual work and the actual systems that have to be in place to make this work every day, it is so hard, so we are always trying to put a list to what we're doing. We're always trying to put a system in place. We're always trying to put a blueprint in place, not only so we can just always continue to build the culture within, but so we can expand and so we can show other people, we want to share in this because that's part of building community too. So.
And like as manager, do you find it difficult, depending on the season? Let's say the blueberries didn't turn out great this year. Like, how are you going to pivot from that? Do you just take it off your menu, or how do you handle that? And I'm sure that's stressful as a manager.
So I will say, what month was it? Do you know that we stopped serving bacon?
Oh yeah, it was pretty close to the beginning of the pandemic, probably June.
Okay. So we are a place that serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we are a place that serves local meats, local veggies, local dairy, all these things. Mm-hmm. When especially people from the South come to a restaurant and they're like, I want bacon and eggs, and you're like, no, but we respond empathetically. Is that what I was? Yeah, that's the word. We respond with a lot of empathy because what we want to do is we want people to come here and be so excited about what we have. And if they came with a certain thing in mind and they can't get that, either because it's out of season, we can't get it delivered to us, or because we ran out of it, we want to make sure they feel like, what, you came here for a specific. We would have like Sunday brunch, and we would have people lined up to the street, and they would be like, I'm gonna get the special, and then they would get up to the thing, and we'd be like, we ran out, and I would be like the person who would go into the line and be like, all right, I know we don't have this, but let's talk about the other things we can get. And so because of that, yes, it is a challenge, but I'm also proud to say that we don't have bacon because we can't get it locally. So that's what we don't have it. So it's actually kind of a pride thing. I like that we're not going to compromise because we just want to get that same product out, and I more so see it as an opportunity to get excited when things are in season. Two examples I have are we serve all of our burgers. When you build a burger, the thing that we don't have year round is the tomatoes, because tomatoes aren't always in season, and a lot of times people are asking for no tomatoes, but some people are definitely coming to get some local tomatoes, and so it bums them out. There's nothing that we can totally replace, to fill that void, but we can absolutely tell them to look forward to that when they come back, and we want to serve you the best tomato, and that's an exciting thing for me as a manager, to get to expose the best food, to our community. And another thing is our salads and our fruit options that we offer as side fruits. Right now we do apples and oranges because that's what we have available, but soon it'll be blackberries and strawberries and cantaloupe, and it's gonna just totally be a more vibrant mixture. And so as things are ramping up busyness wise, and as we get more people in, we're gonna have more things to share with them. So I'm excited, and I did get stressed maybe more in the beginning, and I do get stressed sometimes when I feel like I can't get someone the exact experience they were looking for, but I am committed to helping them get the experience they can get with what we have available.
And Kim, because you're front of the house manager, how do you educate people about your mission of locally sourced food, but also building that community through food at the same time?
So one thing we are really proud of is that from the application to the interview to the training to the reviews that we have, to the check-ins we have with our employees, we all feel very strongly about this coming in, whether we came from restaurants or we came from my background, social work, or whether you came from Hendrix and you're looking for that community again. We all feel like a community, and we all kind of view this as our second home anyways. So that, for us, we're really lucky that kind of naturally comes off. But I am extraordinarily passionate about making sure that someone understands why we do things the way that we do. If that means taking 2 more minutes to explain something, if that means answering a question, or if it means saying, I don't know the answer to that, but I can like get your phone number and like call you back with that answer. You know what I mean? And to me, it looks like we can tailor a lot of our menu to fit any eater. And that is so exciting. So when someone comes up, I can build community with them by just listening to what their accommodations are and to say, great, you're someone who has a sensitivity or an allergy. We can use different utensils or change out our ingredients to fit it to you. And it just, our customers are so wonderful and are just looking to have not a normal, an extraordinary restaurant experience because of what we offer. And I think that we are able to deliver that more times than not. And so as the front of house manager, I am just proud to be one of the faces here. And I'm proud that in every millions of interactions I have, I get to share just little unique pieces of like why we do things the way that we do.
That's so amazing. So I was wondering, if let's say, you know, besides the Root Café, where would you point someone to buy locally grown foods?
Well, at our sister restaurant, Mockingbird Bar and Tacos, we do the same local sourcing that we do here. So 100% of the meats that we serve are locally sourced. It is a Latin American focused menu. So there are things like limes and avocados that we're never going to be able to get locally. But, you know, as much as we're able to, we source locally. And that also inspires a lot of creative, you know, menu ideas. You know, instead of doing, for example, traditional taco fillings, you know, like you might see at a taqueria, we're doing things like smoked carrot tacos or fried catfish tacos, because that's what we're able to get locally. And that's, you know, we call it farm to taco instead of farm to table.
Pretty cute, right?
It's very cute. So,
but then, I was going to say, besides that, there are a lot of places, I think, in Little Rock where you can get local foods for cooking at home. For example, the Bernie's Garden Farmers Market, the Whitewater Farmers Market on Saturdays. There's the Arkansas Local Food Network, which has an online farmers market that you order beforehand and pick it up on Saturdays. And then there are also a few grocery stores that are, most of them are about 20 minutes from downtown, but Me and McGee Market, which is northeast of the city, and Bramble Market and the Curve Market. Those three places all do a lot of local sourcing, you know, places where you can get, you know, they're direct purveyors of local farm products, you know, grown or raised in Arkansas.
And I'm happy to get like a list going, you know, that you can share, you know, with anyone who wants it, because these places are so accessible, you know, even if they're not right down the road, they are, you know, everywhere in Arkansas and surrounding is pretty close. So the Bramble and Me and McGee Market, so worth it to spend a Saturday morning on a beautiful day looking at all the things that were made, you know, a few feet from where they are, or, you know, something like that. So totally worth it. And we can totally come up with a list of all of these that we named.
Yeah, we would love to also post that on the Be Mighty Little Rocks blog. Those are
Absolutely.
naming places I've never even heard of. So I'm like really excited.
Yeah, you got to go.
But we're kind of running out of time. So I wanted to see if anyone in the live chat wanted to submit any questions. A few people on this Zoom call right now.
Hey, Corey. Hey, Megan. Hey, Stephanie.
Let's see. Is there anyone typing? No. Okay.
Okay, we probably answered everything that they could have ever
You guys
asked.
were very thorough.
I'm joking. I'm totally joking. I'm totally joking.
All right. I wish I knew what was happening on the Facebook Live. I don't right now, so I don't know if I'm submitting questions on there. But
and also, I just want to say we're so a kind of place who every day talks about this. So like, if you ever are a customer that wants to just call on the phone, come here and talk about it, just email us or whatever. Like we're totally open. We're totally transparent. That's one of the benefits of being the kind of place that we are. So we're happy to answer these questions anytime.
Absolutely. So I just want to, since we don't have any questions, I just want to thank you both for joining us tonight. And for anyone, oh wait,
Hey,
I have a question. Would love the market list. We have a person who wants that list.
absolutely. We'll get it to you.
So for those of you who are listening, please go to therootcafe.com to check out their menu and to learn who their partners are. Follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Finally, if you would like to volunteer and get involved with Be Mighty Little Rock, please go to BeMightyLittleRock.org and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Be Mighty Little Rock. And remember, we will be here every Wednesday. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I have made quite a few of the recipes through the Cooking Matters. I have looked at a lot of the curriculum that Be Mighty has to offer. And I just have to say, as someone who is very basic, I can handle it and it makes me feel awesome. And I think everyone should check it out and make sure you get informed about this really cool nonprofit that's, partnered with the library.
Thank you so much for that, Kim. Kim did a Cooking Matters demonstration that will be uploaded on Niche Academy. So also check her out. And remember, we will be here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on Zoom, Facebook Live, and YouTube. And we hope you'll be able to join us next week to hear about the environmental benefits of reducing food waste with our special guest, Sylvia Blaine from the Potluck Food Rescue for Arkansas.
Awesome.
Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. And
Thank
I hope
you.
you guys stay safe as we are hopefully approaching the end of this pandemic. And also keep doing what you're doing. Your mission is amazing, and we really do value your work.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan.
Thanks.
Thanks for all that you do. We appreciate you so much, and we'll continue to partner with you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.